My parents abandoned me when I was 4 years old. 13 years later, they showed up on my porch and told me it was time to come home. I didn't understand what was happening at first. I was 4. I didn't have a word for any of it. All I knew is that my aunt and uncle's house smelled like coffee and clean laundry. They had a dog named Biscuit, and my room had glow-in-the-dark stars stuck to the ceiling. And I figured I was on a really long sleepover. A week passed, then another. My aunt signed me up for preschool. My uncle packed my lunch every single morning, always a juice box and those little crackers with the peanut butter. At some point, I stopped asking when my parents were coming. I honestly don't even remember the exact moment I stopped. I just did. Here's what I found out years later. My little sister had been born seriously sick. The doctors weren't sure she'd make it to 2 years old. My biological parents were completely consumed by that. Every hospital visit, every specialist, every terrifying night, and somewhere in the middle of keeping her alive, they looked at me, the healthy one, the easy one, the one who wasn't hooked up to anything, and they decided I was the one they could afford to lose. So they drove me to my aunt and uncle's house one afternoon and never came back. I found out the whole story when I was 10. My aunt sat me down at the kitchen table with hot chocolate, the kind with little marshmallows, and walked me through all of it. She was gentle about it, almost calm, like she'd been rehearsing that conversation for years, which she probably had. I remember the hot chocolate going completely cold while she talked. I never touched it. When she finished, I didn't cry. I went to my room, dug out the one photo I still had of my biological parents, and I tore it into pieces so small they looked like confetti. Then I made myself a promise. That chapter was done. It was closed. And I was the one holding the pen from now on. That same year, I started calling my aunt and uncle mom and dad. They didn't make it into a whole ceremony. The first time I said it, my uncle just looked up from his newspaper, nodded once like it was the most obvious thing in the world, and went right back to reading. That was the moment I knew I was exactly where I belonged. The years went on. I'd run into my biological parents occasionally, a grocery store parking lot, a distant relative's wedding. I never went up to them. They'd say things like, "You look so grown up," and I'd look straight through them and keep walking. It wasn't even painful by then. It was just nothing. They were nothing. My sister kept hitting birthdays. My biological parents had been terrified she'd never reach 15, 16. I didn't know any of that. I was over here doing homework at the kitchen table while my dad burned dinner and my mom laughed at him for it. Normal things, real things. Mine. Then last week they showed up. I came downstairs and there they were on the porch. My biological mother holding a gift bag with pink tissue paper sticking out the top. My biological father smiling, the kind of smile that already expects to be smiled back at. My sister standing just behind them, looking like she wanted to disappear straight through the floorboards. My biological father did most of the talking, said they'd been through so much together as a family. Said my sister was doing really well now. Said it felt like the right time to reconnect. He kept using words like healing and whole again. And then he said it. "Well, you think it's time you came home?"